2 hours. I'm going to get you all back here for 2 hours because I cannot leave here, and you both may probably disagree with me here. But if the information coming, the voices you're hearing is that of Rhoda, Bharath, and Dr. Winford James, if it is the information I'm hearing is correct, Jerlene John, the former managing director of the HDC, is saying that the information regarding her former employer before she got to the HDC was given to the Integrity Commission, and her attorney is asking for an investigation into how that information reached the Sunday, the Express newspaper, how it got into the public domain. My thing is, I am going to strongly agree with Jerlene John asking for an investigation here. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If the information was in fact given there, and according to their representation, it was exclusively given there, how it got into the public domain.
Was that the letter outlining why or how she was dismissed?
No, the one that dealt with the compensation she had after she left the job. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that.
$100,000 a month is what I got your tongue in cheek on that one.
You mean the monthly gratuity?
Yes.
I've never gotten a monthly gratuity.
Yeah, but the merits of that aside, bottom line is if that information was given to the Integrity Commission, it has no right being out there.
I agree with her and her lawyer that there needs to be transparency on that issue, and of course there should be quid pro quo.
Is how they prove that.
The same way, the same way she wants transparency on the issue of how her remuneration package became public information. I think as a former head of the HDC, she should be a little bit more forthcoming with the population about that vehicle, who was driving that vehicle, and why won't she tell us who was driving that vehicle?
And she should.
I think that should, because she said in an interview that the HDC.
But I think you are shifting from what Rennie's focused.
No, I will get back to. I'm going to get back to it. I just beat around the bush sometimes, right? So if you're going to be asking for that level of transparency and accountability, you've got to give it to. Right, and this whole HDC thing and her firing, this is a ticking time bomb. Rhea Tate's story in the Express, the last 6 paragraphs of that story, where they're now beginning to link HDC transactions with Ansa McCall during her tenure. Really interesting stuff. And so, but I'm going to agree with you and I'm going to agree with her lawyer. How did that information get out there? And I'm also going to ask, can we find out who was driving that car?
In other words, Dr. James, en route to seeing the wizard, I found out the emperor had no clothes. Touche.
Which emperor is this?
She just got it inside of there. She just got it.
No, but Jerlene won a case like that before,
Yes, she did.
With respect to her daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, and she won.
Yes.
Now, so she probably can. In the Jerlene's case, what intrigues me is the way the board is reacting to her. Obviously, she doesn't care what they have to say because she thinks that she's a professional and she thinks she's sufficiently independent not to be intimidated by them.
Well, I don't know that we can talk about the board reacting to her. All the board has done is made sure that her dismissal letter is out in the public.
The board has also, as
what
far
have they
as she
said?
has claimed, fired her or were not happy with her tone.
But we know that because that is there. It is there outlined clearly in the dismissal letter. So, but what else has the board actually said?
No, I'm just saying that is there.
So she's the one doing the most amount of talking right now.
Yes, that's agreed. But it doesn't mean that what she's saying must not be taken up by us.
And I'm not saying no.
Right.
I'm not saying no.
What intrigues me is, really, how do you fire somebody because of tone?
No, it's not just tone. They also said insubordination.
That's what I understand.
Right. They did say that,
I understand that clearly, insubordination. But if insubordination has been arrived at through the tone, I will have a little problem there. If you're saying, the reason why I'm saying that you have been insubordinate is because your tone was not right, then I will have a problem with that. It seems to me that you have to be far more serious.
So if that whole business, if tone was the only issue, I would say, all right, this board is on foolishness.
Yes, of course.
But insubordination is a vague enough term to cover a whole bunch of other things.
There's a need for specification.
There is a need for specification, and again, so the board hasn't been specific, right? And that's all the board has issued thus far by way of any sort of statement.
Yeah.
So what we're hearing will be Jerlene John's side of the story, and we've heard a lot.
That's correct.
We've heard a lot from her, and so my thing is, I'm I'm going to withhold
judgment
for now because of how vague a term insubordination is.
Yeah.
Somebody said hubris is a very expensive product to buy.
It is.
Let me just wrap this up. We are on 12 o'clock, listeners. It is currently 12 o'clock. The West Indies cricket team. I'll give you the best information I have on that in a moment. If Rhoda does not get me to it. Okay. What you looking at across there? What is the latest score you're looking at there?
I think we've lost one more wicket. I think we lost one more wicket.
So we've lost 4 wickets.
I think we've lost 4 wickets.
Okay. I got 1 minute. I got 1 minute to deal with this, and I'm gonna ask it. It's a bit complex. So it's a little unfair to throw it in, but I must get your opinions on it.
Sure.
In England right now, the Prime Minister is holding meeting on the question of Tata Steel. They are closing down, which is not dissimilar to our ArcelorMittal situation here. 20,000 workers on the breadline, could be on the breadline, is what he's saying. Do governments have any say, really, in these multinationals? Or are we into a place where the global village, in fact, the people who run the world are the people with the money, period? I mean, yeah, we have known this all the time, but at least you thought the government would have some leverage in it. I get the feeling that the monies of the world is now flexing its muscle in such a way that governments are really just following the ball. Am I jaded here?
Well,
am I
misunderstanding? I don't think you're jaded.
The
it might be a simplification, but I think there's truth in the simplification. They affect policy, as you know. They get deals from government, and they give government something. It's like, you scratch my back and I scratch your back. We know that has been going on because the benefit for governments is that people are employed, and hopefully they're employed at decent rates. The problem is government cannot force companies that are international, that are global, to do what they don't want to do.
But you can ask them to do exactly what you suggested earlier. If you're going to set up shop here, and on the possibility that you're going to have to wind up operation, I need to have a bond put in place. I need to have X amount of money in escrow. I need you to have some kind of fund that will move the workers who are going to be impacted by your wrapping up your situation into a 3 to 6 month.
But is that the case with the company in England?
In England, no, not from what the Prime Minister they say.
Would they not require to have some bond?
Well,
some deposit?
I did not see that. I know in the case of Trinidad we don't have
that's
it.
Normal, you know. Well, that is not extraordinary.
Well, help me out with the normal here, because from what I understand, when a company declares bankruptcy, severance is something that's at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yes, I agree. Yes, that's there. So you're saying it should be promoted?
Yes, I am thinking it should be elevated. Yes.
Yeah, and the question is, why has it not been promoted in that sense, or elevated, to use your term?
I'm sorry. What is it you said earlier? They influence policy. Yes,
They do. The question is whether governments do not negotiate that kind of thing. That in the case of bankruptcy, we've got to take care of our workers, and the way we do so is to make sure that their severance can be paid.
Yes.
Now, how can their severance be paid? You've got to put aside something every month, perhaps. Every month you put it into a fund.
Because I never look.
That's how pensions work.
It would have to take this.
The employee contributes and the employer contributes.
It is not merely a case of the workers who are suffering. It's the domino effect that happens on your entire society. And that is where you have the problem.
But governments cannot do anything about that. I don't think they can't do much about that.
Oh, only 3 people are out. Only three out. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. It's a good thing my heart has been good, you know. Yeah.
All right. So here's what we're going to leave you with. I'm going to thank my guests. You all can go and see the TV now.
Thank you very much, Bishop, because this has been a strain.
It's a good thing we could be distracted and still talk sensibly.
University lecturer, higher education is Dr. Winford James. Thanks you so much for taking the time to be with us this Sunday morning. The next time I invite you guys back, I'm promising you, it's going to be 2 hours.
Okay. And no cricket. No cricket on that day, right?
But he called us out on the day West Indies is fighting for the championship.
But you know what's a good thing about this? Those who are listening can tell their friends they can go up to our YouTube from tomorrow evening and see this interview in its entirety.
Wow.
And all the guests we have had, you can get it in its entirety entirety tomorrow from about 4 o'clock. Go into our YouTube channel, YouTube TTRN, and you'll get all of this. Rhoda, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. James, thank you so much. You all have a wonderful day, all my guests that preceded the
Well, it started wonderfully with the women's victory.
Yes,
it did.
women's victory. It was
One
followed.
hopes it will end up the same.
Well, it seems like the men are stumbling right about now. Eh?
After the women did it, boys, you all don't want to lose. That is called tone.
Shade.